tremendous looking trophy.
Hello everybody and welcome to the #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanas. It's another episode of Platinum Explosion with your host, Dylan. I'm joined today by Nicholas Pryor.
It's your boy.
Jono Beck.
Plat, I guess.
And Jack Cruz.
Plat.
How are y'all doing today, guys?
Dandy.
Other than being sick still, I'm peachy.
Good. Right.
Fine.
So we're going to jump... Yes, Nick? Do you want to tell you about your broken car on the PlayStation podcast?
Someone vandalised my car.
Have you thought that maybe you live in just a shit fucking place? There's always bad stuff happening at your place.
Oh, there's bad stuff happening everywhere.
But yeah, but it seems to happen more often at your place than anywhere else.
I like the way he always handles it, though. He's like, someone smashed my window. Just another thing, I guess. He's like fucking Winnie the Pooh. He's like Winnie the Pooh in real life.
He's Eeyore. He's Eeyore.
I just wish they had stolen the car and burned it out because it's insured for more than it's worth.
Oh, bother.
I had my car broken
record.
into once. I didn't get shit. I fucking hated the way that, like, you can't do anything about it. It's like I walk to my car and you call the cops and the cop shows up and it's like, what'd they steal? They just stole this. And it's like, well,
that sucks.
are you gonna,
like,
there's
okay,
two cameras.
then.
There's two cameras there. The cop's like,
Yeah.
What do you reckon the chance of catching them are? Not really. You know, it's probably better things I got to do, to be
Too
honest,
much
mate.
paperwork for them.
I've got a mate
cops.
who's a cop and he said, don't even bother, just report it to the police assistance line.
And what are they going to do?
It's just more to make a report and
Oh,
to
just
get
to make-
an
it's for
event
stats,
number
it's for
for
police
insurance. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. Anyway, talking about cops and bad adults. Let's talk about Persona 5, which is full of bad adults.
Oh man, is it ever? Very, very bad people.
I don't think there's ever been a game like I saw that meme online the other day. It was like Persona 3 something. Persona 4 adults are like oblivious and dumb. It's like Persona 5 adults are fucking terrible people, which they are. Every adult in this game is bad. Like they're all. I haven't met one that's like not a dick. It's funny.
Even
so everyone's
the
playing
nice
it.
doctor lady.
Even the nice doctor lady you meet who is a bit scandalous, helps you out a bit, but at the same time she's sketchy as fuck. Like she's like doing human experiments more or less. Like it's like, what are you doing, lady?
man.
Selling drugs to teenagers.
Yeah, she's like selling drugs to teenagers. That's what you do. So
That's bad.
We'll go around the. I mean, I wish I had a doctor selling me drugs when I was a kid. That's for sure.
Is it better than teenagers selling drugs to teenagers?
No, well, I suppose no.
No, she's in a position of authority, so she should know better.
So she's entrepreneurial.
You could say that.
It seems that way.
So this is the big game of the week, obviously. Persona 5 came out last week. Finally, for English audiences, it's been out since like September in Japan. We've all finally got our hands on it. And I want to be as vague-ish as we possibly can. Me and Jono are the furthest. Nick's not that far in. Jack hasn't played it. But the aim of this game is to make Jack spend money he doesn't need to spend by the end of this segment.
Yeah.
And talk about Persona enough to make him want to buy it. So we'll stay away from spoilers, but I'll start with you, Jono. What do you think of Persona so far? Where are you up to? How's it going? Things that stand out.
Yeah, so I've just finished the first dungeon. As far as I can tell, I've beat the boss and I'm out of that section, I think. It's hard to tell because of the way that they do these things in Persona. They kind of drag everything out as much as possible, but I'm loving it. It is very much just, to me, so far, Persona 4 on a new-gen console. And that's fine with me. It's more of what we love, and there hasn't been much that's crazy different from number 4. Would you agree with that, Dylan?
I feel like it's a lot of it feels like home. It feels like Persona, but everything's like kind of turned up to 10.
Yeah,
It feels a lot more mature.
Yeah, and the themes that the game tackles straight out the gate are a lot more adult.
True.
It makes Persona 4 seem like a teenager's game, and Persona 5 is really like, this is an adult's game.
it's like
straight away it's
HBO kind of, you know.
Yeah.
It's the gritty It's Wolverine. It's Logan compared to X-Men.
Yeah, and
It's interesting too because from whatever research, because I don't have a strong history with Persona, but from the research I've done, that Persona 4 is more the outlier because the previous ones before that seem to tackle a lot of dark stuff as well.
yeah, they did, which is like the Persona summoning in 3. It's like your characters shoot themselves in the head.
I
And
think all the Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, and all those ones sort of. The ones that I've played in the past have all been pretty dark and had those sort of dark themes, and have Persona 4 being the only Persona I played, wasn't like it was pretty it's pretty fucked up, like a lot of kids getting killed and people getting murdered and stuff like that, but as far as being, it was still pretty lighthearted, and we're going to Junus and fucking Weird Teddy, and everyone's sort of like trying to fuck each other, and
calm down.
It had.
They're just trying to hold hands.
Well, it's pretty like
subtext.
Anyway, well, I don't want to spoil Persona 4, but it leads you to believe certain other things happen. But it wasn't.
I didn't see that.
The tone of Persona. Well, you probably picked the wrong person, Jono. The tone of Persona 4 was definitely a lot more lighthearted than what the other Shin Megami games I've played had.
And one of the things that I like about 5 is it's embracing that weird Japaneseness that wasn't as obvious in 4. Like some of the enemies are just straight up crazy weird.
Are they still all of like the standard penis shaped personas, and are they all different? Or because all the personas and things from 4, like they're all sort of, they're like the Pokemon. They're all the same as the game. Like in Final Fantasy, they're all the same as the games go on. So are they different in Persona 5?
Different again.
Are there any of the same ones, or are they?
There probably is. I don't know.
I've noticed the move names are the same.
Yeah, some of the move names are the same, but I've already been like, I've seen a bunch of from creating personas, because they still have the whole thing where you can fuse them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fusing a whole bunch before, and I was like, I'd put 2 together and something would come out, and I'd be like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's a crazy look. I made something before that was like looked like someone stuck a fucking giraffe onto a scorpion, and I was like, Jesus.
Does this one
Weird
have?
looking.
Does this one show you the outcome of the fusion before you fuse it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a P4 exclusive.
As long as Mara's in it, I'm in. If Mara's not in it, I'm out.
Mara
The Persona
I don't know
Mara.
who that is.
is, as far as I'm aware, missing an action jack.
Missing in action.
Yeah.
Is it? I'm pretty sure Mara. Mara. Yeah, Mara.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Oh, as in not in Persona. I thought you couldn't find it.
Yeah. No, she's not in it.
That's quite disappointing.
And the voice actors changed for
I had no idea what you were talking
Big
about, but I
Nose.
looked it up.
Big
Oh,
Nose.
dear.
What's his name?
What is his name?
Is it Igor?
Yeah,
Igor. But there was a reason for that. I saw people online getting upset. They're like, they changed the voice actor, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
the original one died, apparently.
He
so.
sounds
Oh,
like
okay.
Dave
Rest in
Fennoy,
peace.
but not as good as Dave Fennoy. Very
Yeah,
deep
you get
voice.
used to it.
Dave
After about
Fennoy.com.
10
It threw
hours,
me.
you're like, yeah, it's fine. Nick, how much have you played? What do you...
I have played maybe 3 hours.
So
Yeah,
1%?
Yeah.
So you're still in the tutorial then?
He pretty much is.
And at the end of the first day of school.
The tutorial is like 9 hours, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always are.
From what I've played from it, it's because I've been playing Persona 4 recently.
You're in
I
a
haven't played it
unique
before.
position.
Yeah. I mean, I started Persona 4 back when I first got my first Vita, but I couldn't get into it then for some reason. I think maybe I started the game with the difficulty too high. And then with all this talk of Persona 4 coming out, I thought, I'll give it another go, see if I like it before I started 5. And I just put it on very easy and I've just been cruising through the story, and I've been enjoying the social aspects and whatnot. But
Who are you trying to
like
fuck?
we said earlier, Yukiko.
Yeah, Yuki. That's my girl.
Gee,
And going from Persona 4 to Persona 5 is just like straight up so much darker in tone than what P4 was. It makes it hard to go back, I think. But I'm going to slog through it and go finish 4 before I go back into 5.
Go for the
Really?
play.
What?
That's like a
Yeah.
120, 130
Wait.
hour game.
Yeah, well, I'm enjoying it so far. So
Yeah, it's a great game. Absolutely.
The big difference for me so far, like the major difference between the two games, is the dungeons. The dungeons in 4 had different themes, sure, but they were very much still just
They're
you're
boring
walking
as
through a
fuck.
bunch of
Yeah,
corridors,
just
you run into
corridors, yeah.
enemies. The corridors may look different, they may have different enemies, but they were more or less the same default thing. The dungeons in Persona 4, and I'm up to the last boss currently in the second one.
5, you mean.
Are 5, yeah. I'm up to the last boss in the second dungeon so far. Are completely different. They have puzzles. They have unique things to them. You'll come across in the second one, and I presume this has only happened to me so far once, but I presume it'll happen again a few more times throughout the game. But there'll be like something in the dungeon that you have to like leave the dungeon to change in the real world that affects the dungeon, and then like as part of a puzzle. And I'm sure those things will kind of get harder. But it's just everything about them, the way you traverse them. Reminds me a lot, even the way you jump around the world reminds me a lot of Catherine, which makes sense since that's the game they did before this. So,
actually, funny you say that, because I remember the very first, the first section of the game where you're jumping around on the rafters and whatnot. That reminded me a lot of Catherine.
Catherine, straight away, that's exactly what I got.
Is would you say the dungeons are better than Persona 4?
Yes,
Way better. They're way more interesting. Each area feels unique. Like, as you get further and further into the dungeon, you're not like, I'm in the 13th, 14th floor, and you can't tell you've got further. Once you reach further into the dungeon, get higher or further down, or however they all work, you can tell that the areas become different, and the way they're shaped. You can walk into a room, and because they're actually built like proper places, you can know where you are by looking at your surroundings, because each place looks different. It's not like boring.
Funnily you say that, because I just did the second dungeon in Persona 4 today, and I was clearing out level by level, but then eventually I like, fuck this, where's the stairs, just go to the next level. I just, it's mind-numbing
Just
to
find
me.
the stairs, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that in Persona 5 you can see the enemies on screen, and part of the combat, because the thing in 5 is that you're supposed to be thieves. That's the whole thing. You're the phantom thieves, and you get to name your group further in the game, and you can hide behind walls, and you can wait for the enemy in front of you to turn around, and you can launch a sneak attack all the time. And if an enemy sees you, they'll chase after you, and you'll get a bar that increases of the security in the place. And if the security gets too high, then people will be chasing after you like a crazy man. So you're not just running around like normal JRPG like you were in 4, where it's just like fucking Pokemon music plays and you're in another random battle. You can walk around a corner and be like, oh fuck, there's like an enemy over there, an enemy over there.
You can do that at 4 too. You can avoid enemies.
I just mean like the mechanic of hiding behind walls and being like,
the stealth
you walk around a corner and be like, oh fuck, and then you're like stealthing behind a corner, and
I've heard the stealthing's kind of broken.
How so?
Just like the control, the way to control
it's a bit
kind of
fiddly.
clumsy.
It is. Yeah. That's my biggest negative so far. I'll click hide behind a thing, and then I'll go to like
the wrong
change
side,
to a different thing, and he just like changes. He swings around, and all of a sudden the enemy's like, "Stop you there!" And then I'm getting fucking ambushed because the enemy hits me first. I'm like, oh, just stop.
Without spoiling it too much, is like the metaverse, I think they call it. Is that kind of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things, where as opposed to in P4 you enter the TV?
I don't think it's too big of a spoiler to explain how the metaverse works in this world, because you don't have to give the exact character. So in 5, they say the places you are going are like castles created by people's worst desires.
Right.
And like if someone's so evil, more or less, they create an evil dungeon that's like it surrounds themselves somehow. Why, how, I don't know. But compared to Persona 4, where it kind of makes it, you're like, it's the TV world, and to get to the TV world, you go on a TV. In this game, it's like there's evil. Yeah, there's an evil alternate
It's the
world.
Midnight Channel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they call it in Persona 4?
Yeah.
No, that's
Oh, they call
yeah.
it the TV world, but the show
Yeah.
where they
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
It was the
victims
TV
are on
world.
Midnight
Okay.
Channel.
so far. Unless I'm hoping they'll explain it more as 5 goes on. But so far, I found Persona 4's world a lot easier for me to understand. I was like, okay, there's an alternate reality kind of world that you get to. It made more sense quicker the first time you go there and you walk around the town. Like, you remember when you're just there with Yosuke and you're walking around the town and the buildings and stuff. I'm like, okay, I get this. It's kind of is like the upside down version of the world.
Yeah.
So far, 5, because you only get to see like the dungeons, which are alternate versions of places. But I don't understand how it works outside that. I don't know. Hopefully,
Right.
I'll presume they explain it more further. Hopefully.
It's hard to,
Anyway.
it's hard to tell
Revisit it.
sometime at this point in the game where the overall arcing story is going to go. Like in Persona 4, you kind of knew, okay, it's going to be a bit of a murder mystery figuring out who this killer is. But in 5, it's kind of focused
Ambiguous.
on a singular. What's the
Person
word?
for the
It's like a encapsulated story at the very start, but I'm sure it's going to open up a lot more into something bigger, which I'm looking forward to. And the boss fights, I mentioned in our chat earlier today, like, it's making me appreciate so much of what was missing in Final Fantasy 15 with the boss fights, because there's so much strategy I've only been in one boss fight, but there was so much strategy in it, and it was a unique fight compared to everything else that I've played up to this point in the game. And that was something that I thought was just really lacking in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe the boss fights are they're not just big buffed up versions of enemies you've already fought. They have mini puzzles. They're their own experiences. The way boss fights should be. They're things that should stand out. They shouldn't just feel like you're just fighting a really strong dude.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I tried the second one a couple times before jumping on to do this, and I've died like 4 or 5 times with him because there's a puzzle to how you're supposed to take him down, and I know if I go off and I leveled up like another couple times, I could get a move that would make it really easier for me. But then this is the other part about Persona games I love so much. But I'm like, if I go, I can go level up a couple levels and make this boss fight easy as fuck. But then I have to waste like a day, like leveling up. When if I just figure out how to beat the boss and really hard, like it's fucking really pissing me off. But I'm like, if I just do it now, then I've got an extra day tomorrow to try and take someone on a date.
What
Priorities, bro.
What difficulty are you guys playing on?
Normal.
Just normal, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And it's not incredibly hard. I think the idea with a game like this is the boss is meant to kill you the first few times, or at least the first time you play, because that's the time where you're figuring out the strategy, and from there on, you kind of have a much better chance at knowing what to do.
Yep. Yeah. I want to swing it around to the other big Persona news. If anyone wants to talk about this, I've talked about it in the video earlier this week, but the Persona 5 Atlas streaming policy and what everyone thinks about this. Now, if anyone doesn't know, Atlas was more or less like, hey, you can stream like the first hour or something like that of the game.
It's up until the 7th of the 7th.
Yeah, they literally give a specific date, and they're like, if you upload YouTube videos or you're caught streaming on Twitch after that, we'll put out cease and desist notices and more or less tear down your shit. And everyone kind of spat it. Their reasoning is them trying to be nice, I suppose, but I think there's a different reason for it. But they're going, we don't want the game getting spoiled, so no screenshots, no video recording. Like, you can't even screenshot on the PS4. Every time you start the game, it pops up with that message that says recording has stopped,
been disabled or
blah
whatever,
blah
yeah.
blah.
Every time you get a trophy,
it pops up screenshot, can't be taken, like filming's recorded here. So what does everyone think about this? Do they think the reason behind it is fine, or
No, it's very anti-consumer, really. I mean, it's like if you don't want the game to be spoiled, don't watch a stream. Like, it doesn't. The people aren't being forced to watch these streams. It seems very weird for them to be like, no, you're not allowed to stream it because we don't want to spoil it for people. It's like, well, no one's who doesn't want Persona to be spoiled isn't going to look for a stream of it because they know it's a very story-heavy game. It's going to get spoiled for them. It's like when people got upset when, like, Kinda Funny did the Let's Play for Metal Gear Solid 5. It's like, people are like, oh, you're spoiling it. It's like, why the fuck are you watching it for? I don't think it's up to the developer to say, we don't want people to be able, you're not allowed to go past this point, you're not allowed to stream past this point, because you're going to ruin it for other people. It's like, well, if they're watching it, they're ruining it for themselves. Like, give people the chance to make that decision for themselves. Don't take that away from them. It's a very, very bizarre thing. It's like I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not logical. It's not a good business move either, because you're putting a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Streamers help sell games. YouTubers help sell games. You're taking that away from them is just going to hurt sales. These people are not going to be able to promote your game. They're not going to be able... It's free coverage. Like, streamers and YouTubers talking about your game is free media. It's free coverage. Whether it's negative or positive, it's all, like, exposure. And taking that away from them is just... It just doesn't make any sense. So unless there's some kind of... Like, unless they've hidden something in the back end and there's some kind of, like, amazing twist, or, like, they completely flip the game on its head halfway through, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I think I understand where they're coming from totally, because it's a game that you could... For some people, they'll just sit and watch the stream and watch the whole story that way. It's such a story-driven thing that could be what they're afraid of happening. I'm not saying that there is a lot of people that will necessarily want to do that, but it's very likely that some people will. And
I don't feel like those people would be buying the game anyway, though.
Like, if that's the only way that they can find out what happens. I don't know. But the thing is, July is the date in the game where the band kicks in. As far as I can tell, that's like 20 hours into the game, right?
I'm not even up to June yet. Yeah. So, well, I don't know, maybe I'm like halfway through June. I can't remember.
And what are you, like 15 hours in?
I'm up to, like, let's say 20 hours and just round up.
20
I'm
hours.
about 20 hours in. I'm not even there. So
it's like 25, maybe 30 hours into the game that this band starts.
Yeah, it's
I mean, that's a bit different than just a flat-out ban.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, the last game I think COD did it a couple of years ago, but Ratchet and Clank, there was parts in Ratchet and Clank recently where you couldn't record, you couldn't screenshot.
Do you know the reason for that?
Yeah, because of the movie.
Yeah.
So that, to me, makes sense. It's like, okay, this is part of a completely separate product that you're putting out there, and you're not wanting people to, like, you know, I understand that, but it's not like there's like, oh, we don't want to spoil that because we're putting out a DVD. It's like, well, it doesn't make sense to me.
Is it that different from Metal Gear or whatever, saying, you know, recording in this scene is banned or is unavailable?
I think it is, because I didn't mind that then. The Metal Gear thing was fine. Like, whenever the big story moments happen in Metal Gear, it would be like, the recording has stopped now. Final Fantasy 15, I remember, did the exact same thing at certain points as well, actually.
So why is it different?
Well, that's just key story moments. Like, if I wanted to record a bunch of B-roll of me going around a dungeon and, like, save that video on my PS4, I can't. Like, if I wanted just footage of me just randomly going around the first dungeon, I can't do that because it's all blocked.
Does that mean the review footage for this game is all pre-July?
Well, no, I presume it is, yeah.
I think it might be promotional material even.
Yeah, maybe.
I presume sites like IGN and stuff, like they'd be using capture cards. Like, there's ways around it. If you have a capture card, you can stream the entire game. But it's the fact that so many people love this feature on their PS4s. Me too. The fact that, especially with the Pro now, which can capture full, like, 1920 stuff, and it looks fucking way better than the stuff you could save off normal PS4, and you can just save that clip. You can set it, be like, cool, last 15 minutes, drop that over to my PC. And I can't do that at all. It's, like, annoying. Yeah. I can't even save a random screenshot if I wanted to, like a cool moment, set it as my own wallpaper or something if I wanted to.
Yeah, there's some really cool artwork that we aren't able to use, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just seems weird.
I think it comes from a good place. I don't think they're trying to do it maliciously.
What good, like, in what way? Like, in what benefit?
They care about the fans and they're not getting spoiled. But, like, yeah, like you said, they don't want... If anyone cares about spoilers, they wouldn't be going out looking for it. But it also stops clickbaity stuff where they go, and just pop it straight in your face too.
Yeah, So I don't buy it. I feel like there's some.
I think it's
it just doesn't make sense.
I think it's an
to me.
outdated thought, but it's.
Yeah.
I don't think it comes from a bad place.
Is streaming I'm going to show some ignorance. Is streaming as big in Japan as it is here? Because maybe it's just a simple culture difference.
Cultural thing, yeah.
No, it's huge there.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, random tangent story, when Dragon, what the fuck is it called? Not Dragon Quest. Yeah, Dragon Quest 8 on PS2 came out. There was a dude live streaming that game 24/7, and you could go to this website and just watch him play it all the time in Japan.
In Japan, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's weird to me. It's very anti-consumer. It's I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like it's benefiting anyone.
Yeah, they might lift the ban. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's each their own. I mean, I don't watch streams.
Well, there's been a big outroar.
Yeah, it just, I mean, it doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't affect me. I don't watch streams. I don't, like, I very, very rarely watch Let's Plays. Like, I don't record streams. I don't record video of me playing or anything like that. So it doesn't affect me in the slightest. It just, it seems weird. And it seems like an odd move. And I feel like there's more to it than just trying to prevent spoilers. That just doesn't make sense. Like, if people want to avoid spoilers, they can avoid spoilers. Like, it's easy enough for anyone to just post a text-based spoiler. Like, you can't stop people from doing that. So what's the difference? If someone really wants to spoil something for you, they can do it. They don't need footage of the game. Like, they can just tell you what happens. And the whole thing about
which I saw someone today being like, don't Google a character's name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I ruined The Usual Suspects for myself by doing that, by Googling a character's name halfway through the movie. I'm like, fuck, I ruined the twist. But
what's his name? Sosa or something?
Yeah, Kaiser Sosa. I googled his name. I'm like,
Sosa Kaiser Sosa.
Yeah, I googled his name. I'm like, fuck, halfway through the movie. But yeah, and even the thing about like they want to stop people from watching the streams to be able to go and buy it. It's like, well, what portion? Like, I can't imagine that would be a large majority, like a large chunk of the audience would be going to watch the stream instead of buying it. And if they are, then is that like, you're not going to get that sale anyway. I think if someone's willing to watch a complete stream of a game instead of going out and buying it, I don't think they're going to go and buy it in the first place.
Yeah, I probably agree with you there. Well put, Jack.
I love you. I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm sorry for yelling.
Go. I jump over to last week. We talked about the PS Plus games that were coming out, so I want to jump on and ask everyone what games from PS Plus that they've played. Of course, the big one is Drawn to Death, which is David Jaffee's brand new game that's came out. The creator of Twisted Metal did the first God of War. His big brand new game. I mean, mainly that's the main topic. Drawn to Death. What do we think?
Start with Nick.
Okay.
Start with Nick.
Has anyone played a PS3 game called The Club?
No.
Yes.
No, I've seen it though. I remember the box art for it.
Basically, it's a below-average third-person shooter where you get dropped in a level and you have to kill guys, and the more guys you kill builds up combo and a score. And you've got to get through the level as quickly as you can. Well, Drawn to Death is similar to that, whereas it's a race against time to go into the system menu to delete it from your system.
Well played. It doesn't look great, and I mean, I've read a couple of reviews on that, and sort of the main takeaway I've had is that there's a competent, fun arena shooter buried somewhere underneath, but it's been ruined by the terrible humor and just a bit of bugginess. And from you guys' point of views who have played it, does the humor really ruin it? Like, or is that just people being a little bit oversensitive?
To be honest, I'd never really noticed it. I just ignore it. I go, yeah, it's cringy. It's
I like the
humor.
humor. I was laughing today. So me and Nick jumped on. Nick managed to play one match with me today together before he finally spat the game fully. And while I was waiting for the game to load, I kept clicking in and out of one character because I can't remember the exact. What was I saying? Just this one character was just
something to the wankers.
Oh, you fucking wankers or something. But this one character, I was like laughing my ass off just because I could get this guy to say, "Oh, you fucking wankers" in a poshy accent. So I mean, I'm gonna laugh. Yeah. It's meant to be child humor, and it was amusing me. So
I found the humor funny, but it's just the gameplay was so bad it couldn't save it.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. I mean, how long's this game had? It's been, 4 years? 4 years in development?
It was in beta for like a year, it felt. So.
Like, it doesn't, and then, like, looking at it, like, I get the art style's quite unique, but it's not a graphically extensive game. Like, Ready at Dawn turned the order around in half the time it took these guys to put this game out, and not the order was 5-6 hours long, but that was a graphically intense game. And Drawn to Death I don't understand how a game that took so long can be so buggy and doesn't look great. It looks like a PS3 game at best.
Yeah,
I haven't touched it yet.
Avoid it.
I'll give it pluses and negatives.
It's got some easy trophies, right?
No, not really. I mean, play the tutorial. The controls are weird. They're floaty. The aiming feels weird. It does feel like a kind of dodgy third-person shooter. The
weapons are uninteresting.
It's not. But I find it so weird because if they'd marketed the game around it being more of a casual, fun, sit around with your mates, laugh at the stupid characters and the fact that I enjoy the art style a lot, and I enjoy the character design and stuff like that. But there's a ranked mode, and that's kind of where they want you to play. They're like, play your 5 matches in exhibition mode, or whatever the hell it's called, and then head over the ranked mode. And I'm like, this game just isn't that interesting. It doesn't have enough mechanics, as far as I can see, to warrant a professional. I don't know if they're trying to push it onto the esports scene or something weird like that, but it just seems silly. Like, they should have just made the modes more marketed around, put in a split screen mode or something like that. Like, market it towards sitting on your couch laughing your ass off at the ridiculousness of it or something like that. Because I just don't think the gameplay can hold it up to a high enough level to warrant the way they're trying to aim it off.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? A couple of weeks ago, we were discussing the merits of them putting it out on as PS Plus, and we're talking about how it was free to play and that. And it's I think the sort of the maybe the writing was on the wall at Sony, and they thought, shit, this game's not going to sell. The only way we're going to get it into people's hands is to put it out for free, and not free as in free to play, where we're going to make you buy. I mean, if they put it out free to play, that would have been catastrophic for this game. So PS Plus is probably the only way they were going to be able to get it into people's hands, and it's not. I mean, I don't imagine it's going to get the Rocket League kick afterwards either.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they've also got a loot crate type system, kind of like Overwatch, where you can pay for keys or something like that.
After I must have hit a certain amount of matches today for them to try and sell, make me buy shit, because I finished a match and then I was dragged out to be told, here's your one free one, and you're going to get another free chest every 120 kills. And then as soon as you finish yabbing on about all the stuff you get, and I unlocked it and I got a taunt and something, it's like, who fucking cares? None of this is useful. And then I don't give a fuck. And it was like, now for 48 hours, you can buy a pack of these for real money. Like, for 48 hours, you can buy this many chests for this special price. And then it tried to take me to the store, and I was like, no, fuck. I was like, circle, take me back. I go back, and he's like, are you sure? Well, the offer's still there. And then the bottom right-hand corner, it's got 48 hours ticking down to remind me, you want to buy this, don't you? It's only a few dollars. Get hooked. Do you want these taunts? I'm like, oh, fuck off.
You're like, cunt, you'd be lucky if I have it installed for 48 hours.
So, I mean, I really want to like it, because there's a lot that I can just... It's one of those things, I'm just like, oh, there's something good here if they just change some stuff. And I really just hope, because I'm probably not going to play any more of it, apart from and I couldn't if I wanted to. I have enough trouble actually finding a fucking match to work.
Yeah.
I hope in 6 months they've patched the fuck out of it and it's actually something enjoyable, because I can see it becoming something enjoyable.
It's already done its damage by then. And
Yeah, there's no coming back after that.
Most people are going to have a bad taste in their mouth trying this, and they're going to move on to the next thing, and it's not even going to be a footnote in their memory.
But I feel so bad because I like Jaffee. Well, I have problems with Jaffee, but I like Jaffee, and I like his...
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Not all ideas pan out.
No, especially the amount of time they've spent on it.
I played a handful of matches, and I only was able to join one full match, and the lobbies are only 4 people.
Yeah, I've only managed to get one full lobby once. Whether or not this is because the matchmaking is terrible or because no one's playing it, I don't know.
And the art style's cool and all, but the actual levels that you play on are just bland and white with no colour and just blue outlines. You can't tell where you are or differentiate with anything else.
It's a weird game. That's all I've got to say. It's a weird one.
People can enjoy it, but don't try and tell me it's good.
I was rooting for it as well, and I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest. Kind of let down.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, unfortunately. All right, moving on to the next thing. So this weekend, there's a lot of important Star Wars stuff happening, and this isn't the Star Wars podcast, but
they're all Star Wars podcasts.
Technically, if I had it my fucking way.
What's that famous line, Dylan?
Fuck off. We will be getting some Battlefront 2 news this weekend. So I wanted to open up to what do we want from Battlefront 2 for those of us, I think most of us have played it, and if you didn't play it, what would make you interested in Battlefront 2? And what do we hope to see out of Battlefront 2? I
famously got Battlefront for my birthday a couple of years ago, and it's the first game for many, many years that I had traded back in. I often just, anytime I buy a game, even if I don't play it, I just keep it. I don't trade it back in. But I got that game, I was like, no. It felt...
It's a famous story, is it?
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
I've told that story before. It's a famous story.
I've never heard that story.
In the annal, you're not paying attention.
No, I don't listen back. Clearly,
well, you don't listen. Period. But no. Yeah. So Battlefront was a disappointment for me. It looked beautiful. It sounded beautiful. It felt like a Star Wars game. It looked like a Star Wars game should look. Sounded like a Star Wars game should sound. I just felt like it was cheap, and I'm not a great game, like competitive gamer or anything like that, but I'm pretty, if I get into like a Battlefield or a COD multiplayer and that, I can handle myself pretty well, and it felt floaty. The combat didn't click for me. What I enjoyed the most in the game was the single player tutorial missions. But for me, that was the highlight of the.
If I only should say that, I never even touched them.
For me, that was the best part, because the rest of it, I was like, okay, you just sort of deathmatch in there, and the hero stuff was fine, and just none of it really clicked for me. What I want from Battlefront is tighten up the shooting mechanics, and give me a fucking story mode. Give me a story mode. Give me a vignette, even if they did something like what they did with Battlefield 1, where you play a whole heap of different stories. I think that would be perfect for Star Wars. Vignettes, yeah. You go and play as this stormtrooper, or you go and play as this thing, and this rebel. That for me would be just perfect.
Since you bring up the single player, every time someone brings up the why didn't Battlefront have single player?
Because they rushed it out.
I've always had a reason. No, I believe there's another reason. My reason is because they were making it at a time when Disney had just been brought in. Episode 7's on the horizon, coming out, whatever. They're working on all these projects. They're kind of just working on the new canon. And the best thing about Disney for me as a Star Wars fan is the cohesiveness of all their properties and how the story's all kept intact. It's like, if you're reading a book now, it's canon. If you're watching this Star Wars Rebel show over here, it's canon. This movie, canon. It's all fucking tied together. Saw Gerrera, Rogue One, started in the Clone Wars. He was in Rebels episode shortly after the movie came out. It's amazing how they all make it work. So the reason... my theory for why they didn't have a story mode was always them being like, well, if you make a story mode, like, it can't just be random story, because then you're going to have all of us big nerdy Star Wars fans going, well, is that canon? And then someone will be like, no. And it's like, well, is this canon? Half of that story is canon. Okay, well, is this character canon? No. So I think the reason they didn't do it is literally because if they were going to tell a story, they wanted to make sure it was something they could work around, because they put out a book for Battlefront called Twilight Company, which I know Nick hates.
It's bad.
But a lot of people really liked. And the big thing for me, it was always like, well, they had this story in this Twilight Company. Like, why wasn't that just the game? And I don't know, but I think it boils down to that. The story reason.
I thought that they came out and said that the reason that they didn't add the a story mode was because they wanted, like, they had a timeline, they had to rush it out, they didn't have enough time to put it in.
Oh, they could say what they want, doesn't mean I'm going to believe them.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was over the tweet.
Well, John quick side note, there was tweets also of John Boyega from episode 7 was tweeting at EA at one stage, like at some point last year, being like, yo, we need a story mode in the next game, let me come visit the studio. And then he actually went and visited the studio at some point. So interesting.
I can understand wanting a story mode, but I don't think a multiplayer shooter is where it's meant to be, because a lot of people bring up the Star Wars Battlefront 2 PS2 game and its story mode, but I think people are looking back with rose-tinted glasses, because that game's story mode was a loose, tied together just series of multiplayer matches just filled with bots. That's all it was.
Yeah, but it's a different studio making it now. I think people like traditionally the Battlefield campaigns are pretty good. Like Bad Company 1 and 2, great campaigns. Battlefield 4 was fine. Like Hardline, I think it was Hardline, wasn't it? Good campaign.
Hardline's campaign was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. Like, I really enjoyed it. And, Battlefield 1, great campaign. So I think people expected that these guys are, like, they're capable of it. Like, DICE are capable of putting together a solid campaign. They've got the backing of Disney for this. They've got all the resources they need. They've been given EA's pretty much been given the Star Wars, brand to do what they will with all the different, they've got Amy Hennig working on a game. They've got Visceral working on a game. I think people just expected that DICE could put a half decent campaign together.
What would be more damaging for the game, to not have a campaign at all, or to have a campaign and it being bad, considering it's Star Wars and it's under infinite more scrutiny than what an ordinary game would be?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting point, but I think it's their responsibility to make a good campaign. So I don't think I don't believe that they thought that they couldn't make a good campaign. I think that they were probably told, we need to get this game out. We need to have it out. You've got this amount of time. They probably wanted to put a campaign in there because they knew how much people wanted it. I mean, at the end of the day, it sold fantastically well. EA would have been stoked with how it sold. I imagine it would have sold a shit ton better if it had a campaign, or at least some sort of story mode.
I'm with Jack there. I played a few hours of this game. I didn't buy it. I had a friend with it, and I had zero interest in buying it because there was no campaign. I'm not an online shooter guy to start with, but
that's fair enough.
Yeah, and it's not like they have to go into some Knights of the Old Republic deep, storyline with twists and revealing new information about the Jedis. Like, it could just be something where, they tie together a bunch of skirmishes with some loose overall arcing story. It doesn't have to be like a really intense.
The Battle of Hoth, even if, whatever, like the Endor.
They can retell a story we know from a different perspective even. And just having a few things like that, I feel like that would add so much.
Absolutely. God bless you.
Anyway.
And I mean, if they
you.
don't
What-
add a campaign, what are they really doing to make it different from the first one?
Well, I was about to go into that. For the second one, I would really love a better, not ranking, but leveling up system, more as like the battlefields are with different classes and whatnot, because with Battlefront, all it seemed to boil down to is everyone picking the optimal weapon and the optimal loadout, and it just being 6 or 40 players all the same shooting at each other. Whereas the original Battlefront games, they had different classes to change it up a bit.
What do you want from it, Dylan?
And
But I'm on the fence about the story mode. I mean, as Nick said before, like literally as Nick said before, I would actually rather no story mode if the story mode's going to be shit or like just not make any sense. Because the moment if they do what Jono was saying, they're like, well, here's the Battle of Endor from a different side you haven't seen before. I'm like, well, where'd this guy come from? What's his story?
Yeah.
Who was his parents? What have they been? What was they doing? Where are they in the movie? Like,
And
if
suddenly
you're
it
going to do
becomes
that
canon.
to me. Yeah, if you're going to do that to me, you have to have it really thought out. It has to make sense. You better fucking explain it all to me. And I know I'm like in a minority, I suppose, but like there's a very big nerdy Star Wars, like just head over the Star Wars Reddit. People are going crazy.
Yeah.
If they do all this shit. People, it's like the one random character in the back of every scene, like they have to be named. Like this is how Star Wars fans are hardcore. Like
I'm with you, Dylan.
To no point. So
Yeah, but I don't think EA gives a rat's fuck about. I mean, the game.
it's not up to EA.
It's
though.
Disney.
That's the
Yeah, but I think they've
Plus-
given them the reins though, and if they, I mean, that's the thing. Like going back to my other point, I don't think that DICE would put out a bad Star. I don't think Disney would allow them to, and I think they would have enough resources, and they've got a good enough track record with single player campaigns that they could do a good Star Wars campaign.
It's not that I think the campaign itself would be bad, like the mission structure, what you're doing. It's the implications on what it would happen like within the story. Like that's
and the
all that
overall
matters.
Star Wars universe.
Yeah, an overall Star Wars
Plus, I
universe.
think their mentality was that we've got this multiplayer shooter, but we're also having the Amy Hennig game, which is going to be our Star Wars story campaign game.
But
So-
when?
True.
Yeah, I was about to say they are so you've got the Amy Hennig one working on. Amy Hennig's working on what looks to be like a bounty hunter third or something, or at least a like third person based RPG system, something like that Star Wars game, which sounds cool. Probably a few years away if I was to guess. Visceral is working on something that seems to be involving Jedis because they've had people work like doing mocap with like sticks and stuff that we've seen, and there's been like job listings for people to do like sword fighting and stuff like motion capture, so that'll be interesting. So they're working on two big story games. So the thing to me was always like, well, do I really need do I need a 6-hour campaign? Do I really need that? I mean, I'll take it if you want to give me a good 6-hour campaign, I'll take it, but I don't need it.
I need it.
Battlefront
I needed
2,
it.
I just need.
I needed it
I
from
want
that
more
game.
modes. I want more maps. I want more guns. I want more character classes. I want better character customization, because the one thing that pissed me off the most, and it's a little detail, was the fact that there was like 50 million different like faces you could change on your character, and it would be like male and female Earthlings. But like, where the fuck are the aliens? Like, give me a bunch of aliens and fucking.
There were
species
aliens,
and
but
shit.
you had to be ranked 50
You had to be like
or
level
40 or
50,
50
to
yeah.
fucking unlock them. It's like, oh my god, fuck off.
One more thing. I want the full game playable in VR.
Jesus Christ.
You know what though? Just give me fucking Rogue Squadron. Give me Rogue Squadron in VR, and I'll go and buy fucking 10 of those things.
Well, I was going to say, my next point to go off was they did the VR mission, which was a free download for Battlefront. Are we expecting Battlefront 2 to come out and have what if the campaign is a VR, or an optional VR based thing like that? What if that is the campaign?
100% sold.
Yeah, that'd
that's
be
what I'm
great,
saying.
yeah.
Like, so you've got a multiplayer mode that's very similar to what we played in the first one, like improvements, and the story mode is made for VR but can be played without VR, where it's very much a experience. Like, there's gameplay, but it's not it's more you just sit there and take it in, several hour thing.
Yeah, I think for that to happen, Sony would have to bankroll part of it because I don't think the investment would.
I think they would though.
Yeah, I think they
that
would.
would move units.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course they would, but I just don't think for EA to do it themselves, the investment wouldn't be good enough for the returns.
Who developed the Star Wars VR experience?
It was DICE.
It was DICE.
Yeah.
God, come on, just give me like Star Wars Rogue Squadron VR X-wing fighter. Just do it. Like it's such a no-brainer. Like why has that not happened yet?
For that for a lifelong Star Wars diehard fan, that VR experience was.
The first time you go you click punch it and you fucking zoom off in the man.
That was a religious experience for me.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't buy it. I don't have VR.
Would you buy VR for it though? No, I fucking would.
If money wasn't an option.
If money wasn't an option, then yeah, of course.
Okay.
But money's always an option, is it?
I don't know. So I enjoyed the original Battlefront. I quite enjoyed the ship battles mode. A lot of people hated it. I liked playing it. And I was always like, oh man, if I could just play this mode in VR, it would be the shit. Because there's the moments where you see the little icon that you need to go down and fly to get into the Falcon or the Slave One. Oh man, if I could fly the Slave One in VR,
that was probably the best. Like for me, that was probably the best part of Battlefront, other than the little single player things that they had. Getting into the vehicles and flying was probably the best part.
I put in a decent amount of time. I played one of the DLCs was really good. The last DLC they put out,
the Scarif.
Not the last one. I forgot they actually did. But the one before that, the Death Star one, was fucking awesome. I really, really enjoyed the Death Star one.
I like how they had the a single match it goes from the assault planes, then there's the trench run, and then the third one is you're assaulting the Death Star itself in infantry.
It was I think by time, when that game came out, sure, it wasn't as big as it was by the time it finished, but if you brought that game by the time all the DLC was already out, and you brought, like when it was on special for $40 of all the DLC, fucking awesome game. Fucking awesome with all the DLC already in it. Because all the different modes and stuff. Oh,
I think one of the bigger things that held Battlefront back was a lot of the game modes themselves weren't interesting enough. Outside of Walker Assault and the Air Assault and like the original Conquest.
I played a lot of Heroes. I quite liked Heroes.
Yeah, that's good for your hero fix, but I think most of it was just take it or leave it.
Yeah, I suppose this is true. So I'm willing to take any information. If I get to the first trailer and it is simply a CG trailer and it doesn't give me any hint of the changes, I'm going to be really annoyed.
I've pre-ordered.
You would fucking pre-order it. Well, actually, to be fair, I'm going to buy. Just to put this on record, it doesn't matter what the trailer is. I'm buying this game because I was a fan of the first one. But if there is just a solely CG trailer and without any gameplay, or they don't at least talk about what the new gameplay improvements, or if they're not going to talk about what the story mode is, like what the story is, if they're announcing that, I'm going to be annoyed. If they're just like, hey, and Battlefront, hey, and they show like a 2-minute CG trailer of fucking some gibberish, I'm just going like, oh.
But how many games these days don't do that?
I know, but I just get so sick of it. I suppose it's an overall problem. But
my anticipation level for this game is halfway between flaccid and chub. But I will say this. All they have to do to get me is put out a sweet collector's edition, give me like a fucking badass Millennium Falcon or like a Stormtrooper helmet or some bullshit, and they will have my money. You don't need much to get me.
That.
That's all you need. Star Wars paraphernalia, you'll have my money.
I don't know what the collector's edition was. I got it.
It was like a fucking t-shirt and a mug or some bullshit.
Oh yes, I did get that.
That was just an EB thing. It wasn't an EA thing.
It was fucking
terrible. I love this mock-up that when they announced the VR thing that come out. There was like a
that helmet,
mock-up collector's edition with the X-wing helmet.
How
it had a
sexy
whole
was that, and the joystick. It's
yeah, the joystick and the VR and everything.
That was a thing of beauty, wasn't it?
Yeah. I would have sold my mother for that. Good thing she doesn't listen.
I would have sold your mother too for that.
Oh dear. Well, on that note, I think it's about time to wrap it up. I have
Going to talk about Uncharted?
Trophies.
You want to talk about? We don't. I mean, you can if you want to, Jono. You're usually the one that wants to get out of here quickly.
Yeah, but we've been talking about Star Wars for 20 minutes. Let's talk about Uncharted. 10-hour
Okay.
10-hour
That's Star
DLC.
Wars.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. I mean, it is.
It's more Uncharted.
If it
a
is,
PlayStation
what
podcast.
What details?
I read
details
this-
have come out?
I read this story that was like, oh, the Uncharted DLC might be like 10 hours. And as soon as I read that, I don't know if it's just my mind, but I was like, I'm sure
Is
it
that
is.
dev
But
math?
what if I don't fuck
Yeah,
around?
is that dev
How
math?
long
It's
is
like
it if I'm
4
not
hours,
fucking around? Yeah,
10 hours.
That's what I
Like
mean.
if you
They've
go
been-
back and find all
Look,
the collectibles or something like that.
If I'm to
Yeah.
be honest, I don't think I'll even play it.
What?
I'm gonna
I'll
play
play
it.
it.
It's
Fucking
Uncharted.
oath I'll play it.
Mm.
Give me more.
The characters don't interest me.
Give me more. Did you not like?
Not a fan.
You don't? What? You're not a fan of Chloe, or you?
My run with Uncharted finished in that epilogue with Uncharted 4. I don't feel I need to go back to it.
Yeah, I do. I like Uncharted quite a bit, and I liked Uncharted 4 quite a great deal. And I like Chloe, and I like that they've brought her, because I felt like with Uncharted 4, they just sort of didn't even recognize acknowledge the other characters. Like, obviously Sully was there and Elena, but like there was no mention of Cutter, there was no mention of fucking Chloe, there was no mention of Eddie Raja, there was no mention of, and like,
Who gives a fuck
I
about
know
Eddie
no one
Raja?
gives a fuck about Eddie Raja. I was using that for comic relief, but I liked that they're like, oh, actually, you know, story twist. Chloe is in. It's like, okay, and where does she fit in with Nadine? It's like, where I'm like fully, I'm in. Like I'm firm for this one.
Even without that, like it's Naughty Dog, so you know it's going to be a great story.
Oh, bloody
regardless of, they could change the names of those two characters. It could have nothing to do with Uncharted. I'd still want to play it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give me anything Naughty Dog does. You sort of, they've got that much cachet and goodwill that they could put out fucking Uncarded, and I would and I would play it. Just give me Fight
All
for
I'm gonna say
Fortune
is
2.
that I'm very firm on this game. Very firm. Can't wait to play it. The story itself, it's like 10 hours long, flaccid as fuck. Because I just don't believe. I'm like, you're telling me the length of it's going to take me 10 hours to beat this. Get out
I
of
don't
here!
believe
You're
that.
telling me it's going to take me 10 hours to find all the.
That's nearly as long as
collectibles and
Uncharted
shit.
2. Like,
exactly. You're telling me that's how long it is just to
that's dev.
finish
That's
it?
dev math.
No,
It's probably
that is
6 hours.
I haven't heard that before, but I like that. Dev
Yeah,
math.
so I
That
think
makes
I've
it's
heard
sense.
that. Yeah.
it's like
That's
it's like what is it? What's the song? It's like, you know, the dev math is, you know, when they say, oh, this, you know, this RPG is 300 hours long. It's like that's 100% clearing every single thing, finding every single collectible, reading every single bit of intel. So 10 hours to me is like
That's like saying there's 100 hours.
4 hours.
It's like saying there's
I'm
100
gonna bet
endings in
4
Fallout
hours.
3.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like it's probably like 4.5 to 6.
Yeah, that's going to be
max.
my guess. If I'm going to guess the length of this thing, I'm going to say you can beat it in like
Which is
4 hours
perfect.
if
I
you
don't want
fuck
a
around.
10-hour Chloe camp. Nothing against Chloe, but I want, like, if I'm buying a DLC, I want a DLC size thing. Like, I'm not ready for another full Uncharted game. I'm like down for like a quick 4-hour experience I can knock over in a sitting and a half. The last game I played that was like an expansion DLC was Uncharted: The Old Blood, and
Wolfenstein?
what did I say?
You said
Uncharted.
Uncharted.
I'm sorry, it's the drugs. Wolfenstein: The Old Blood was the last like expansion sort of game that I played, and that one was acceptable, being like a full, like that was like a 3/4 of like the New Order lengthwise. Plus, it had some awesome challenge maps and stuff like that. What Uncharted doesn't have going for it is things like extra add-ons. So it's like it's going to be like what it is. It's going to be like the quick campaign, and that's going to be it. There's going to be no like, oh, do this multiplayer challenge maps. Like no. That's in the like Uncharted 4. Like we don't need more Uncharted multiplayer. No one needs more Uncharted multiplayer.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I mean, yes.
Play
we wanna-
10-second ninja.
Oh yeah, you didn't. Is that good?
It is. It's very Super Meat
Okay.
Boy-ish.
That's the PS Plus game as well. I want to tell everyone that we're on to episode 3, and I'm going to open it up to listener questions in the future from now on. If anyone wants to write in, the email address is pleasureexplosionmail@podcast.com, and I'm going to say that one because I'm not sure if I've claimed platinumexplosionmail at gmail.com.
Wait. Was it platinum? You said
it's
platinum.
It's at Gmail. It's at
You said
Gmail.
platinum explosion at
Let me
podcast.com.
try
We're not gonna get many questions.
I'm saying my dream. I'm saying my dream email. I want to have mail at pleasureexplosion.com. How do we get that?
We'll get there.
We have to
We
pay
need
for
to
a
up
business
the
account on
Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Well, I'm not having this. The email is pleasureexplosionmail@gmail.com.
Happy days. Send us your questions. What do you want to know? What do you want us to play? What do you want us to wear?
Or you can tweet at us.
Yes.
At Explosion Pod.
Explosion Pod.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Jack, where can the people find
You
you?
can find me in the bottom of a ditch once this cold has taken me. No, you can find me at Cruzy_mate on Twitter, CruzyMate on YouTube.
Jono?
Shaboy, you can find me at Jono himself on Twitter. You can also check out my podcast, Putting In Work, every Thursday.
Nick? Nick's dead.
I think we
Cease
lost
the
Nick.
means of production.
Oh no, here he is.
No.
Were you sleeping? Did you
You
nod
can
off for a
find me on
minute?
Twitter.
The heroin's taken effect.
We
You're
woke
just
him up.
nodding in and
Well, it
out.
is my bedtime
He was
just
having a
about.
nap.
You can find me on Twitter at Lord N.Prior, PRIOR.
And you can find me at Twitter at VivaLaDIL and head over to www.vivaladil.com for everything else like that. And don't forget, once again, follow this podcast at Explosion Pod on Twitter and go to www.pleasureexplosion.com for this podcast and Pleasure Explosion, another podcast we do where we talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about. It's different stuff every week that's not video games. And this one's all video games. And head over to iTunes. Don't forget to rate and give this a review. And tell your friends.
Yes, that's the most
to
important
fucking
part.
listen,
Please,
or I'll stab
please
you.
share this with your friends and family and co-workers so that we can quit our jobs and do this full time.
Thank you very much. Patreon's coming soon. Love you.
Plat plat.
Plat plat.
PlayStation.
It only does everything.